The Medicine Hat Tigers headed east to Oshawa, Ontario for the 1987 Memorial Cup. The Tigers went 1-1 during round-robin play, setting up a pair of semi-final games against the Longueuil Chevalier of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. The Tigers defeated Longueuil twice and were off to the Memorial Cup final against the host Oshawa squad. On May 15, 1987, the Medicine Hat Tigers and the Oshawa Generals faced off to determine who would be Canada's national junior hockey champions.
It's been called the most prestigious trophy in Canadian amateur hockey, the Memorial Cup, and it goes to the best junior team in the country.
Williams right in, a shot, loose puck, they score! Here's McCrory in front for King, Fitzpatrick up over the line, Van Ryan, they score! Dean Chenault and Watson. Here's Scott McCrory, good move, the backhand, he scores! McCready, loose puck, they score! Sends it over, a shot, deflected, they score! Morton, a solid hit as he stepped into Fitzpatrick, and Rob DeMaio of Medicine Hat. There's a shot, they score. There's a chance now, moving right in, a shot, they score. Ron Bonera comes in, steals the puck, scores! The Medicine Hat Tigers have won the 1987 Memorial Cup Championship by 4 goals. And they're off the bench to congratulate their goaltender, Mark Fitzpatrick, coach Brian Maxwell, general manager Russ Farwell, and the entire Medicine Hat Tiger organization.
It was a very proud moment, certainly, and it was a culmination of a lot of hard work. I know for Russ, he put together an excellent program in Medicine Hat, and it resulted in a championship.
Winning the Memorial Cup in Oshawa was first for Medicine Hat. No team here in Medicine Hat had ever won a Memorial Cup championship or any Canadian event such as that. People all across Canada knew exactly where Medicine Hat was. It was nationally televised, and here's kind of an upstart team out of where? Medicine Hat. And they beat the big city boys and everything else and win a championship.
We had that goal, but it was a goal, but it was almost a bit of a dream. We talked about it, said that's our goal. We have a good team, but I don't know if we really thought it was possible.
They weren't favored going in, and they went down there. The OHL team was supposed to be the team to win it all, and the Tigers kind of took them to task.
Sitting on the bench, being up 4 goals and realize that you are just the national champion of junior hockey, and realize that thrill of victory and that opportunity to reach your goal was real special. And coming back to Medicine Hat as a 16-year-old was a very proud day, and for me is something I'll never forget.
That offseason saw head coach Brian Maxwell leave to become an assistant in the NHL. Replacing him was a brash new bench boss named Barry Melrose. The Tigers retained many of the players from their championship team, all of whom were now a year older, stronger, and expecting to win. Mark Peterson continued his offensive attack on the record books, while Trevor Linden found his groove in the scoring game.
Medicine Hat has produced some outstanding players. Trevor Linden was probably the stalwart, you might say, he was the rock. He was the guy that the rest of the players looked up to for leadership. He came up with a big hit when needed, would get into the odd scrap when needed, and would score a big goal when needed.
For me, it wasn't about playing in the National Hockey League. My dream was always to play for the Medicine Hat Tigers. As far back as I can remember, I would go to the games, and that's who I wanted to play for. That was everything for me. So to play and to achieve that was very special, certainly in my hometown where I grew up.
Rob DeMaio also increased his point totals, while Dean Chenault proved to be a leader for the ages.
Oh, he was a mean little guy. Rob DeMaio, he was another part of the puzzle that the Tigers had that year that made them so very successful. Came to play each and every game, and he was a guy that liked to stir the pot a little bit. He'd give the opposing player a little bit of a stick every once in a while and draw some big penalties. Yeah, once in a while Robbie would take the odd penalty as well, but he had a big, big heart. Came to play each and every game and was very talented as well. We kind of forget about the fact that he could score goals and could set up goals because he did other things for this Tiger Hockey Club. But Robbie DeMaio, one of the best, no question. Dean Chenault was kind of the had the father image of this Tiger Hockey Club, even as young as he was. Everybody looked up to Dean as a leader, and that he was. He was the team captain and made some big plays. He also made some big hits, got into some huge fights. He wasn't afraid to drop his mitts, and he kind of did it all on the back end for this Tiger Hockey Club. And every time I think about Dean Chenault, I just think about competitiveness. He was the ultimate competitor, and it didn't matter what kind of adversity there was, he was always there to meet that challenge.
The team really found its stride when Wayne McBean rejoined the club from the Los Angeles Kings.
Wayne McBean was one of those kind of all-star players that'd be an all-star in any league. Had great mobility as far as the blue liner was concerned. He could come off the back end there and score goals as well, and he'd pick his spots. He could go coast to coast and go with the best of them and score goals. It was just a well-rounded team with lots of depth. People had a taste of the Memorial Cup. The Tigers weren't losing a whole lot of players, so I think there were some high expectations heading into the 88 go-around.
The Tigers earned a bye before defeating the Prince Albert Raiders in the division semifinals. The Tigers roared over the Saskatoon Blades, sweeping them in 4 games. The Tigers would have a chance to prove they had truly come of age as they faced the Kamloops Blazers in the finals, the team that had eliminated them in the championship 2 years prior. In an engaging battle, the Tigers went on to win the series in 6 games.
They had a little bit of everything, and not only some firepower, but they had character. And those 2 years, they had such players as Ron Benora and also Dale Kushner. Little known, you might say, but boy, they came to play each and every day. Guy Phillips scored some big goals for the Tigers. Yeah, these guys maybe didn't go on and have star-studded NHL careers, but they were the ingredient the Tigers needed to win Memorial Cups, and they came through.
Oh, just a great feeling, you know. It's just as good as last year, you know, if not better, you know. I'm sure the guys are gunning for the cup now, you know. We've got this under our belt, and I'm sure we'll be gunning for the cup.
The Tigers were again bound for the Memorial Cup, this time in Chicoutimi, Quebec. Medicine Hat went 2-1 in round-robin play, setting up a semifinal showdown with the Hull Olympique, which the Tigers won 5-3. Once again, Medicine Hat would have a chance at a national championship. In the final game, the Tigers faced off against a Windsor Spitfire squad that had lost only once in its previous 40 games, including a victory over the Tigers in the round robin. The game was a high-scoring affair that ended in familiar fashion.
McBean coming straight up the middle with Peterson, and he has DeMaio who takes the pass on left wing. DeMaio trying to break in front. A shot. They score! Peterson. Mark Peterson set up by DeMaio, and the Medicine Hat Tigers now become the 6th team in Memorial Cup history, and that's 70 years to win back-to-back Memorial Cup championships.
It was a team that had a lot of determination, a team that were on a mission. They were going to repeat as Memorial Cup champions in '88, and they did.
You know, we're able to break through and get back to the Memorial Cup, and not only did we get back there, we're able to win, which was special, because it's one thing to get there, which is every team's goal, but it's another team. You know, it's another thing to get the job done.
We knew that we were going to win. Like, I don't know if you, like, when you're on a championship team, it just, you just know you're going to win. I mean, I remember in the final game, we were down in the first and second period, and nobody on the bench ever got down, and everybody was still upbeat, and everybody on the bench knew that we were going to win that game.
Probably the saddest part of winning that second Memorial Cup, which was a real damper on the celebrations, was the fact that Neil Brady's mom passed away, and the Tigers flew back to Calgary, of course, and immediately went to her funeral. So there wasn't a lot of celebration. They wanted to win that Memorial Cup championship for Neil Brady.
The off-season saw many changes come the way of the Tigers. General manager Russ Farwell made the move to the Seattle Thunderbirds, taking with him head coach Barry Melrose. Trevor Linden, Mark Fitzpatrick, Wayne McBean, Rob DeMaio, and Dean Chenault all moved on to the pro ranks. Still, the Tigers had plenty of talent and experience from their championship teams, and the team remained extremely competitive over the next few years.
Jason Miller, he came up in the shadow, of course, of winning back-to-back Memorial Cups. A lot of fans thought that both him, Mark Wolf, and also Murray Garbett, they were the next generation Medicine Hat Tigers. A lot of fans thought that they were good enough to kind of lead the way to another Memorial Cup. Well, that just doesn't happen. You got to be realistic. In junior hockey, you've got that turnover of players all the time, guys graduating into the NHL. It just wasn't going to happen again.
New faces continued to dot the roster, and for the 89-90 season, a goaltender named Chris Osgood began to make his mark.
Chris Osgood always, he could move the puck so very well, could handle a puck with his stick, and even back then, he was another defenseman, there's no question about it. He was a great leader and just a great goaltender. He had a little bit of a different style, of course, but he always found a way to keep the puck out of the net. And, you know, he's a legend among goaltending people here as far as the Tigers are concerned.
The 90-91 team featured a number of excellent players, and it showed up in the standings. Behind stars like Jason Miller, Kevin Reel, and defenseman Brent Thompson, the Tigers finished second in the East Division. Among the most memorable nights that year was when Chris Osgood scored the only goal by a netminder in Tigers history.
When we played against Swift Current that game, it was just kind of one of those plays where I don't think he was honestly really looking for it, but they pulled their goalie and they kind of chucked it right at him, and their guys got a late jump coming in to force him, and he just fired it top of everybody forecheck, and he fired it over top of everybody and right in the center of the net. So
I thought to myself, I don't get these chances very often, so I figured I'd go for it. Not expecting to score at all, and luckily I got the right bounce and it slid into the goal.
I just got it, and I always, kind of dreamed of scoring a goal. I thought that was my chance to do it. I really never looked at the net. I just shot it, and it hit perfect right at center and went right into the middle of the net. So, that's one of the many good memories I had in Minnesota.
The team would go on to meet the Lethbridge Hurricanes in the division finals, but missing sniper Kevin Reel, the Tigers would end up bowing out in 7 games.
We had another guy, good defenseman, Brent Thompson, actually hit Kevin Reel in practice before the series, and Kevin, I think, broke his ankle or something.
Just went into the boards awkward, and my skate just kind of rode up on the boards, got jammed in right on the plastic, and that's how everything just folded over and broke the tibia and fibia in my leg, and playoffs were done.
I still this day believe if we would have had him, we would have beat Lethbridge, because we played real well and we just couldn't get that extra goal at times.
Among the highlights of the 1990-91 season would be the Tigers' retirement of the jersey of franchise great Lanny McDonald.
You play the game because you love the game. You never even think of will they retire my jersey? That's the farthest thing from your mind. And when all of a sudden they called and said, we'd like to do this, it was like, who, me? And you're kind of looking around, are you talking about somebody else? Did I hear this correctly?
Medicine Hat, you really are the greatest, and I love you.
The next season would see the Tigers ranked highly again, with Kevin Reel returning to resume his assault on the Tigers' record books. He continued to score goals at a frenetic pace, finally culminating with his breaking the Tigers' record of 197 goals, owned by Mark Peterson.
It didn't even really hit me until actually the 4th year, my last year. Bobby had mentioned, said, you're only this many away, and you keep on pace, things could happen.
Well, we called him Louie, Kevin Reel, and still holds the record for most goals scored by a Medicine Hat Tiger, 199. I wouldn't say he was a Don Murdoch, because Murdoch scored a lot of fluky goals, and just because he was in the right place at the right time. But Kevin Reel had that natural scoring ability, and he had a great shot, and he was another one of those players that wasn't afraid to get in front of the net and deflect shots and everything else.
You got to do some damage when you're out there, because you had to have yourself a presence, or else you didn't go anywhere back then.
He played like he was 6'4", 250 pounds. I mean, he had a giant heart. He loved the game. He hit guys hard. He played tough. He had great hands, great shot. I mean, great playmaker, great goal scorer.
Kevin Reel, certainly one of the best Tigers ever.
Earlier in the season, the Tigers had decided to part ways with Chris Osgood, believing Sonny McNaughton would be able to shoulder the load. The Tigers had an excellent season overall, but were swept out of the playoffs in the first round by the Swift Current Broncos. Still, the season was notable for the arrival of another Tiger great. Making his mark in his second season with the club was Rob Niedermeyer.
Rob Niedermeyer, what a talent. The speed was just incredible that Rob Niedermeyer, he could be in full stride just in a couple of quick movements with his legs. He had such powerful legs, and Robbie never really maybe achieved the result he wanted to as far as scoring is concerned, but he was a great playmaker and very tough around the net. And we were just happy to have a Niedermeyer playing for the Medicine Hat Tigers. Of course, Scott, his older brother, was playing for Kamloops at the time. Rob Niedermeyer, another name from the past that was just an outstanding Tiger.
The Tigers were considered the team to beat the following year, ranked number 1 in the CHL, with first-round NHL picks Mike Rathje and David Cooper on defense. Stacey Roost had burst onto the scene, and his offensive numbers helped fill the void left by the graduation of Kevin Rio.
I think a lot of pressure was heaped on Stacey Roost to kind of, again, lead him to the promised land. And he was still young. Goodness sakes, a young guy like that just couldn't do it all. But he had a tremendous talent for sniping, scoring goals.
Rooster had over 100 points both seasons that we were here. He didn't have very much supporting cast. Let me give you an example. Lauren Taves scored 10 goals or something as a 19-year-old. And then he came back, and I believe he was on a line with Stacey, and he got 42 goals his 20-year-old season. And give Tavesy credit. You got to be able to score goals. But Rooster, I'm sure, was a setup guy for a lot of Tavesy's goal. And Rooster was so good, on a team that had very little to support him.
Not that big a guy, but he could play in traffic and had a great shot. So scored some nice goals for this Tiger team, no question. Mike Rathje, one of the biggest guys you ever wanted to try to interview. I used to have to get a little apple box to stand on because he was so tall. When you put a pair of skates on, probably around 6'7", 6'8", but what a monster of a man, and played that way too. He could take control when he was out on the ice. When he decided to make that big rush up the ice, nobody was going to stand in his way because of how big he was. And getting that big shot of his off the back end was pretty impressive stuff.
But the team faltered under the leadership of new head coach Dwayne Sutter, who was replaced mid-season behind the bench by first-year GM Dennis Polonich. Despite a strong roster and a late-season rally, the Tigers lost out in the playoffs again to the Swift Current Broncos.